Good evening. Welcome to the home of the opportunity to reply. Here we leave no stones unturned, literally. It is the 18th day of August 2016. Welcome to News Sources. My name is James Smart. Tonight we are delving into the deep end of journalism. I'd like to introduce my panel tonight, Roslyn Obara. Karibu sana to the program.
Thank you.
Jekonia Otieno.
Asante sana.
Karibu sana. And the man with a list, or so we hear, Mbenga Gisesa. Karibu to the program.
Thank you.
All right, let's kick this off. Tonight, the journalism fraternity is dealing with yet fresh allegations of bribery and compromise. A section of senators are claiming, albeit in low voices, that now that journalists covering their proceedings have been compromised by governors. They claim the news reports coming out of the hearings have been strange and many a times not a true reflection of the proceedings. Mbenga, let you have a first go at this. Is there any truth in this?
Actually, I've been in contact some of the governors and senators, and I think almost 3 weeks ago, when some of the senators came forward and then said that there's been active bribery, especially among journalists who are covering the Senate Public Accounts and the Investment Committee. And a few days ago, they were able to produce some list which has a list of journalists.
How many names?
It has about 27 names.
27 names. All right, we're going to come back to that because we need to get to the bottom of this. Roslyn, you work in Parliament. Possibly your name is in that list. How do you react to this idea or discussion that there could be a list that somewhere of journalists who are compromised?
Just like the news came the other day, it came with a surprise because, you know, Parliament is very big and you might not know what happens every single place. I might be there, I might not be there because they've talked about parliamentary journalists and I'm one of them. But personally, I have not witnessed what is happening. But the grapevine and what has happened in the past days say that something has been happening.
Mm-hmm. Zephania, is there a way that we can look at this and say, out of the reports that have been coming out from Parliament and from these committees, that they are compromised?
I don't cover politics per se, but one thing I can say now, I know why probably health stories die, environmental stories don't see the front page, because journalism might be on sale, and it is sad. It is sad. If it's true, it's very sad.
You see smart, eh? You have to look from where these things are coming. If you remember sometimes early this year and even last year, governors refused to go to Parliament. Similarly, refused to go to the Senate because every time they went to the Senate for grilling, and a lot of allegations were raised. These allegations could be covered by journalists, and then the allegations could go back to their ground. And what happened is that at the start of about 2 months ago, governors discovered a new way and a new reason to go to the Senate because they discovered that they can compromise the journalists. They can come to the Senate, they compromise the journalists who are covering the sessions, and the things are not covered.
But Mbenga, this is such a grave allegation because colleagues are thinking, well, what exactly are we saying?
Let me ask you, how many governors do you think have gone to the Senate Public Accounts and Investment Committee in the last 1 month? Every day I see you get 3 newspapers. How many governors?
I hardly any. I don't know. How many governors have gone? I mean, you should ask Roslyn. You work in Parliament, cover Parliament a bit more.
I know many governors have come.
How often do governors come to the Senate?
Tuesday to Friday. And they've been having a schedule because they were time bad and they're supposed to deliver a report this month on the 2013-2014 audit report. So each day we've been having 3 governors come, 2 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon.
All right.
Yeah.
Do you think they've been reported fairly vis-a-vis, the issues that have been asked? Because some of the senators who I've spoken to, they claim that the reports that have been coming out of the hearings have not been a true reflection of the proceedings. So they read malice.
Okay, in the last few weeks, I've not been covering that committee, so I cannot speak authoritatively to say that what has been coming out of that committee is not exactly what transpired in that committee. If I had sessions, because like yesterday I covered one of the sessions, and it was covered. It was in the
But
papers.
James, I have a question.
You see,
Yeah.
Who is giving and who is taking?
Emeka, take us through this allegation. What is the exact allegation?
Let me take you through the allegations. First, in about a month now, we have had almost 5 governors. These governors have been grilled on a lot of issues, ranging from financial impropriety, misappropriation of funds, nepotism, and all kind of allegations. There are at most 3 governors who go to that committee each and every day. So when the governors discovered that they could compromise a few journalists, this is what they started doing. They'll get to their contact people, they get to someone who are among the journalists covering those committee, and then they agree on a package. And some of the journalists that have been able to interview, and even some who are in that list, and they have confessed to have participated in this, they say that they were approached by the governors, and then they decided on a figure, which has been, the list governors given 50,000. There are some who have, there's one who gave almost to 500,000 shillings, and this money is given on the basis and the weight of the allegations that you're facing. So there's a governor, there's a journalist who picks the cash, and this journalist distributes the cash to to most of the journalists covered in some of the sessions. At some point, I've been in contact with the chair of that committee, who is Senator Anyang' Nyong'o. And when I asked him about these allegations, what he told me is that kindly come to the committee and observe for yourself what is happening. And most of the senators in that committee, at the start, they were thinking that their committee is very popular among the journalists, because it's the only committee. In fact, in Parliament, in Parliament, it's called as a popular committee, because you'll find all kinds of radio journalists, TV journalists, and print journalists.
So hang on there. This is the thing that I'm trying to get my head around, that the journalists cover this. In the morning, or throughout the day, it is covered, it is full packed, you have all the cameras, you have all the
There is no even space for standing, there's no even space for sitting when that committee is holding sessions.
And so how do we miss the reporting of that?
Now this is what used to happen. So the governors, after the governors are grilled, they, in quotes, they talk to the journalists. The journalists call it vegetable, ama anasema ni mboga. So these governors talk to the journalists. Talk in quotes. After talking to the journalists either decide to kill their stories or to slant the stories. So after some time, the senators themselves discover that the reasons why we are not being covered is because the journalists have been compromised by the governors. The senators, who are supposed to also investigate corruption and graft, went, a group of them, and sat, and they came up with their own kitty to give to the journalists.
Counter-sponsor these journalists.
To counter-sponsor to the journalists, so that the journalists could cover the news, And it reached quite an alarming level up to the time that the senators have come out and said that we have tried our best, and this thing is not happening.
I really want to get to the bottom of this, because it sounds like a movie. I must say, if there's any shade of truth in this, Rosaline, we really must get to the bottom of it. But let's go to as we pick this up, and I'm asking you a question on Twitter, but let's move on now to the next point, which is, questioning the integrity and character of journalists. Serious, but this is hardly the first time, nor it will be the last. A few months ago, in one of the biggest scandals yet, the infamous NYS scam, Josephine Kabura claimed in her now famous affidavit that a certain journalist, Christian media guru, was handed 10 million shillings. So it's not the first time, but this is shocking because it's happening every day. Rosaline, is there any shade of truth in this?
I'm not the best person to
speak on this, because Rosaline, this is just what you've observed.
Remember, I am one of those who have been accused.
So it could
of being a beneficiary. I could be in the list.
James.
No. What I'm trying to find out is this: that this version of events, is there any, from what you understand and from your experience and from interacting with colleagues, is there anything like this that can happen? It's possible that journalists are put together and someone hands over money somehow and the senators figured out that, well, the monies are not being, we are not being covered because there's no money, then they put together their kit. Is this even possible to happen?
Smart. Ask just for the CCTV of Parliament. Even the journalists themselves, you know, the videographers, they even captured fellow journalists taking bribes in Parliament. It happens along the corridors. It happens even inside. That Senate
aren't you, Rosalind? Is this possible? Because this is really grave.
I don't think I'm the best person to speak on this authoritatively, but what I can say that people speak, rumors are there, and where they smoke, there might be fire.
There
Be
must
fire.
be,
Yes.
not might.
There might be.
No.
Yes.
There must be fire where there's smoke. But let me say this, James. I think there's a devolution of corruption. Yeah, corruption has been devolved to all arms of the government, and somebody rightly said that we need to have a fourth arm of the government called corruption to assist the other three, that is judiciary, legislature, and the executive. And that said, they still have some explanation to do.
Namega, do you want to hand over the list?
No, you see, the reason, you know, when I got,
He's
see,
handing over the
when
list,
I
yeah.
no, I don't want to hand over the list, and this is my explanation why. When I got this document from the senators, from a group of the senators, when they handed on, and then they said on this particular day, I engaged with these and kind of journalists. They even know the amount. One of the senators took a reporter to a bank which is near Parliament. At the first time, it would do 50,000. Other time, it would do 70,000. And some of the journalists later on complained that they had not received a share. When I received this list, and people have been asking me, why don't you just name? Why don't you just name the list? And I love to answer that the senators themselves have already complained to the editors. That's very important to note. The
So
senators have already
why
complained to
can't
the
you name
editors.
names then?
Because it's not my work to name names. What I'm doing as a journalist is to investigate the allegations. And if there's a person who has been named in this list, I've already spoken to 17 out of 27 people among those who have been mentioned, at least giving them a rate of reply and trying.
Yeah, so can we, give Rosalind right to reply? Is she in your list?
Yes, please.
Yes,
Yes,
it
please.
wasn't on your list.
I love to clarify that Parliament, she is the former chair of a union known as the Kenya Parliamentary Journalists Association, which has about 58 members. But the list I got is about 27 people. So there are journalists who cover Parliament who don't particularly cover this Senate committee. So it's not every journalist who covers Parliament who is guilty or who has taken the mboga from either the senators or the governors. That's very important. That's very important to note. And when I came out with the list, I remember 2 days after I went online on Twitter and said that the journalists are being bribed not to report on this. She called me like the sixth person and asked me, what is this, which is happening? And then I tried to explain the same issue. Yeah.
But you're not being fair. You can just have a list, you put it in your pocket and walk around it in town and brand it and say that I have a list and I'm not naming names. You're not being fair.
Haven't you had Raila
needs
Odinga?
prayers.
Haven't you had Raila Odinga asking for the work list, yet he was privy to the envelope? You see the fact.
So you
the
liken
fact
this to the wacky list.
No. The fact that you have information as an investigative journalist, we come a lot of information, and the fact that you have a list doesn't mean that you just go on sharing it out. Yeah.
Well,
You need prayers anyway.
be as it may, such blanket condemnation does little to clean up the industry. Even worse, without proper facts and naming the names, the story takes the usual Kenyan turn. On matters of corruption, this country has failed to find a moral ground to stand on, and journalists can be argued are just a reflection of the society. Can we say that? Can we, convincingly say that this is just a problem that this country has?
I don't think two wrongs should make a right. If there is an issue that indeed journalists are being bribed, then I think we need to investigate to clean up this industry.
As the former chair of KPJ, steps away from the matter.
If journalists are on the tech, James, then there must be a very good reason for it. It's either the media houses are not paying them well, or they're just greedy. So it's either of the two.
I think it's not an issue of payment because as a financial economist and also as a student of law, also a journalist, I've done an analysis of the salary scale. Of course, journalists are paid poor, but they're not the poorest paid people. It's an issue of integrity. If you go to Kisumu, if you go to Western region in Nyanza, journalists, they call bribe receiving, they call it VAT. If you go to Kisii, they call it loot. If you go to Parliament, they call it mboga. If you go to Coast, they are calling it ushuru. I've forgotten the name that they call it in Central. So every part of Kenya, journalists have given a name to these bribes that they receive. And as one of the centers was telling me that this country is too corrupt. But the issue is not totally to eradicate this corruption, but even to try to bring it up to a manageable level.
Someone is asking, have you never been compromised as the mega excess? Have you never taken the VAT bribe? Someone must consider.
Have I ever taken?
Yes, have you ever received a VAT?
To cover a story unfairly, as far as
have you ever received VAT?
A bribe?
Yes.
VAT?
Yes.
No.
You can say that already.
To slant a story, no.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You received to do what?
Probably I've never
Free lunch.
I've never
Free
taken
lunch.
I've never taken money as far as to influence a story, you know. But sometimes journalists tend to do consultancy, which is different from their work. For instance, if you a manager and then you need coverage, you need stuff like that.
Rosalind, the question of who takes what and when it's taken is really a big issue because it's not only in government, but we can't clearly be as journalists, claim that we can fix and look at the people in authority and say, well, NOS money was stolen or there's, questions of impropriety, but we can't answer it for ourselves. We can't, right?
Yeah, I agree with you in totality because at the end of the day, we talk about corruption, big corruption and stuff like. But here is a case where we are the people. We are supposed to be the mirror of society. Here we are the ones propagating the same corruption that we've been talking about. I think, just as I had said, two wrongs don't make a right. It takes one to make a step. So I shouldn't do it because...
Do you agree with Nyambenga with his list that he's not, he has it but he's not, waving it around?
For me, I agree with him because at the end of the day, these are your colleagues. You name them, at the end of the day, whom will you talk to?
All right.
Yeah, but what he has said that he has called them to get a right of reply. That is a good step because with that, they know that Nyambenga has something about them. But you see, when you go around dishing around names, but okay, I don't support it because at the end of the day, we also expose other people. So whichever way it goes, it will have a ripple effect.
James, if I had malice, already this list could have been online in blogs. If I had malice. I think yesterday, I was even called yesterday in the morning. I was called by the Media Council. They have also taken a keen interest in this issue. I also, as an official of the Kenya Union of Journalists, we have also taken a keen issue on these allegations. And the most important thing is that journalists have to do some self-retrospection. You have to stand and face a mirror and say, can I say that this governor is corrupt, this senator is corrupt, yet each and every time I'm living and surviving on this, how much are we doing to assist the society? That's what journalists should ask. These days, it's very difficult. I don't know whether it happens in your shows, but I'm being told for every show that a Kenyan, whether a beggar in the street, someone who has been involved in an accident, even the people who go to police stations and they don't get obese, for them to be covered in the newspaper, they have to give something small in TV. They have to. It has become so rampant that guys are complaining. And we, the people, we the journalists, we the reporters who are on the ground, let's even not blame our seniors in the officers, the editors. We have to do something from the ground. We have to at least have some humanity in our coverage. If you look at newspapers, even the TV, even your own TV station, most of the coverage is on politics and on big people. We have left the hawkers, we have left the chokoras, we are not covered because they have nothing to give to us. It's very, very bad, James.
He has said it. We've taken journalism to be a commodity for the highest bidder. And that's the saddest point in life when the person who's supposed to be the watchdog has decided to sell their soul. So it's a high time that we need. There was a time we were here with Nzau Musawa and he said we need prayers as a nation and call all the elders and take them, I don't know whether to Lake Victoria or Mount Kenya or the Rift Valley, and just pray for the journalists so that people like Rosalind can repent their sins, but all she's in the list. Yeah, Nyambenga too can produce that list.
I'll not let it go.
Yeah.
I won't
So
let that
I
one
think
go.
we have to do something about it. It is very serious.
Rosalind, do you need to repent your sins at some point?
I do repent all the time. I go down my knees and I pray because as a human being, I also have my defects. But saying that I need to repent on that, I know myself.
Okay,
so
on behalf of your colleagues.
On behalf of my colleagues, yes. But when it comes to saying that the media has gone to the dogs because we cover the high and mighty, you know the consumption of news in this country. Big people make news. Even when you went to school, they say when a dog bites a man, it's not news. But when a man bites a dog, it's news. So when a politician who is a public figure does something extraordinary, that is news. If a Mama Mboga does not do anything strange that will attract that readership, then it's not news. So again, as much as we are saying the media is going to the dogs, let's also balance.
But I want to ask Roslyn a question. Yes, you're covering the high and mighty. That is a man biting a dog. If, let's say, 350 people are getting cancer every day because of smoking, is that not a case of a man biting the dog?
Yes, it is.
Why doesn't it see the page?
You say
why? Because somebody has to give some money for that story to see the page.
Smart.
You have a final word on this in 10 seconds.
Okay, in 10 seconds. I think journalists need to become human. They know, like, journalism used to be like, I can call it a calling. And they need to tell stories of the poor people who don't have anything that they can give.
All right. We'll take a short break there. On News Sources, Nyambenga and his list will be coming up in the next break. Don't go too far because we might just read the list at the end of the show. You're watching. Right, welcome back to News Sources. You're watching the program that gives you the opportunity to reply, not just the right of reply. Now we're talking about corruption in journalism, but to take a brief detour, a traffic police constable had difficult time explaining how he received hundreds of thousands of shillings from 3 people who own trucks and matatus. Sylvester Rotich could not explain how the monies got into his phone and what it was meant for. Another officer, David Ndenge, had difficult times as well explaining why he is in the habit of sending his seniors money, and those seniors are 11 in number. Is it the same thing that happens, in Nyambenga with journalists?
The chain of command.
Is it the same thing that your money are sent and they are sent upwards, or?
I think whatever is happening to the police, the vetting should also be introduced for journalists.
A vetting,
the same vetting that's happening for the police should also be done to the journalists. Like, they come with the M-Pesa transactions, they also come with their bank account transaction, and I'm very sure we'll almost discover the same things.
No, this guy might be a pastor. I think we need to ask that question as well. Yeah, probably they were sending some tithe. You never know. But I think corruption in Kenya has hit alarming levels. And as I said, something has to be done, whether it's for the journalists, for the police, parliament, government, the private sector, everywhere there is corruption. There's a giver and the taker. I don't know why we are crucifying only these journalists who took. Somebody must have given, whether it's the governors or the senators. You had, they even came together and put a pool, yeah, a consolidated fund for it, yeah. So I think something has to be done. We need to have a dialogue.
Yeah, Rosalind, is it that, excuse me, that we can't get away from it? So let's just everyone, eat from what they're doing.
It's not about eating, but I think it's something that even the president initiated a dialogue around this, and we are not seeing anything happening. We have an institution that is in the constitution, that is the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, and we are still seeing nothing happening. I think the next level, we should have a Ministry of Corruption, so that it deals directly with corruption. Like now, the case of Parliament, we will go there, then they assign investigators just for that. Then we expose these people. I think that's the way to go. If we can invest in that, we can save a lot.
This is a very interesting country because EACC itself has been bribing journalists.
But to do what?
It's not to cover some stories, to go silent on some stories. If you ask yourself, every time there is an investigation into a mega corruption allegation, it just disappears quietly. And I think before 2015, in July 2015, EACC had only managed to have 2 of their cases finalized in court. You see, it's quite alarming. But whatever is happening in the police force speaks a lot, not just about the people who won the least amount of money, but also about our president. I remember, I think last year the president gave 2 billion shillings in the fight against corruption. There's a list of the parastatal chiefs, and there's nothing that has happened. I believe that the president is not serious in his fight against corruption. That's my total belief.
I don't agree with you. I think the issue of corruption should be approached by all stakeholders. I don't think it is something that should be left for one institution, because every institution we hear about corruption, even in the church. So I don't think we should only leave it for the president. We should come all together and repent as a country and say, this is a menace that should be declared a national disaster, and then we see how to approach it from there.
Mm-hmm. So you see, I think what is happening nationally is that maybe the means you are using to fight corruption are not working. For instance, when I was given information about the list, which was about 2-3 days ago, on Tuesday, there were 3 governors. I think that was on Tuesday, on Monday. There were 3 governors in the Senate, and all these 3 governors, the following day, most of it was not covered. When I spoke about the list, today senators called me, they told me journalists haven't come to cover. You know, I think the same approach should be put in fighting corruption. And I'm very sure, and this is something I'll tell the senators who are brave enough and courageous enough to come with this information, that from today, there will be a change of heart in the journalists who are covering that the Senate PIEC committee.
Because you have some lists.
No, because at least you have said the Standard alone today gave a full page to whatever was happening. Yeah, and all media houses have reacted to this, and I think the coverage will improve.
So what's your plan to get through this list? What's your plan with this list? What do you want to do with it?
My plan has been to expose whatever has been happening. I've managed to speak to some of the journalists.
What are they saying?
There are some who have admitted, there are some who have said no, and it's also important to know that some of the senators have already approached news editors. They have also approached the journalists. They have also approached the Media Council of Kenya. I think there's now more goodwill to tell people, kindly report, be factual in your reporting, be fair in the reporting. And that's what I want as a journalist. I'm an investigative journalist. But I've been unable to get information from Parliament because these parliamentary reporters have put some kind of blockage in it. One of the things that they did, and she was an official of the Kenya Parliamentary Journalists Association, that they recommended that only accredited journalists can be able to easily access Parliament and cover some of the sessions. So me as a journalist who want to get information from Parliament, I'll have to go through the parliamentary reporters in
the ones you want to expose.
No, I think I agree with him. I think I agree with him.
I disagree
like
with you.
every section, every bit of the media has a cartel. If it's Parliament, there's a cartel. If it's health, there's a cartel. If it's crime, there's a cartel that deals with that. If it's whatever angle you want to take to a story, there's a cartel that deals with it. And you have to go through that cartel.
Jaconia,
Rosalina, are you a leader of any cartel?
I'm not a leader of any cartel, neither am I in any cartel. In Parliament, there is the Parliamentary Media Relations Office that handles access to Parliament. For us, as KPJ, where I was the chair, we were just facilitating the journalists who are based there, because the journalists who sit there morning to evening, they are those like the TV people or radio people who report from there. So what happened is that Parliament, there were people who are coming in. Some who have badges of Media Council, some who have badges of media houses you don't even know, and they will access Parliament and they go and harass politicians, because you will have a press conference. The press conference is off. But immediately you see somebody saying, now I want a one-on-one with you. The one-on-one is not about getting news. It's about what are you giving me. So because of that, we decided now the people who are here, can we know who and who are here? Because when I meet a politician and they tell me your people are harassing me, it is general. Maybe the people who are harassing are not journalists who are even from any media house. Somebody has left a media house and still walks around with a badge for that media house.
So that's what you stopped?
Yes. So it was not about restricting people.
All right. Actually, they safeguarded their interests. They are the ones who harass the politicians.
All right. Let's move on now. And Inspector General of Police, Joseph Boynet, has been ordered to personally serve court summons to State House Controller Lawrence Lenayapa. Naivasha Chief Magistrate Peter Gesora issued the orders for Lenayapa to appear in court in a case facing MPs Alfred Gitter and Sonia Birdi. This was after the court was told it had become impossible for the prosecution to access State House to serve the controller. So let's refresh ourselves. Exactly what happened. That clip coming up. Roslyn, it's difficult to summon State House, but somehow we found a way to summon them.
Yeah, it's but you see, the law says if you cannot summon the person you cannot summon in person, you can always publish in any of the dailies. It's allowed. Why didn't they go to the dailies and do that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think what the court is doing is trying to elaborate the kind of impunity that is in this country. Because one, the State House Controller himself, a respectable person who was vetted, I believe, by the NIS, a man of integrity, should just honor the summons. It's just a very, very simple thing. But they don't want to do it because this country, and especially there has been a lot of impunity that has been going on, not just in government circles, even in the private sector, even among parliamentary journalists, everywhere.
But
everywhere.
I feel sorry for the cops who are guarding State House. Now suppose their boss arrives, their work is to guard State House, and your boss arrives, wants to serve the papers. How do you react? You see, I'm trying to picture that situation. So I don't know, but I think the court is sending a strong warning that you are not safe, whether you're in State House or you are in Bunge as a journalist.
I agree with you, but you see, I just said earlier that you can serve the summons on any of the local dailies with a national readership. We have not been told by the court they tried that and it failed, and the court can use that to argue that you were served and they do not honor the summons. So when Nyambega says that there's so much impunity here, especially for a State House Controller, I don't know if he knew about it. I don't know if they made attempts. Then we also need to know, did they make attempts? And if they made attempts, where did they reach with it?
But
Maybe
legally to note, like what she was trying to explain from a legal perspective, legal to note, serving through a newspaper is the last resort.
Yeah.
When it has become extremely difficult to get to this person.
So if the police if the Inspector General is unable to,
yes, which will be unable to, so that's when they'll now go to use like two of the largest media houses. But it also explains what the former CJ called as a bandit economy, especially the amount of corruption, the amount of time wasting, which is also there within our judiciary. Because these two legislators, this is an incident that happened in 2014, and up to now, you know, even the proceedings haven't been taking place in court quite well. You know, you wonder.
All right, let's get to some politics now before we finish with our lists. Meanwhile, in matters politics, clock continues to tick on selecting new members of the IEBC Commission. Party lines will surely be drawn in the future, and we will report them as and when they do. However, both parties have a problem they can all agree on today: how to block party hoppers. Can the IEBC help in this?
It has been a pleasure for all of us and a privilege to serve in this committee. I do not remember at any time ever whether there has been a joint select committee. The standing orders actually provide for joint committees, but I don't remember ever in the history of Kenya whether there has been a joint select committee.
I'm very confident that if the recommendations that the committee has put together implemented, we are going to have a very peaceful, free, fair, and transparent election in 2017.
Well, peaceful, fair, verifiable elections in 2017. Looks like it on paper.
On
yeah,
paper.
on paper. We agree
Now,
on that.
I think from where we've reached, we have just crossed the easy part. Now we are going to the hardest part. Remember all the speakers who spoke today, from the committee chairman to the house, both house leadership. There was one message, including what came from the president, that let us pass this report the way it is, without amendments. Now, if you look at the way it is, we are talking about party hopping and stuff, and also how to nominate the new commissioners. It's not going to be a walk in the park, because remember, they have not even agreed on the selection committee. By the time they come with that selection committee, and we have less than a month, because these people are supposed to be in office by 1st.
Yes, they've said these guys will be in office next month.
But no, they have to be in office by 1st of August. So the new people have...
September it has to be.
Yes, 30th. So by 1st of October, we need to have new commissioners in office. Now, the exit route for the current commissioners is very good. Now, where the challenge now comes in is the stake at which political parties will play their role in having the new commissioners in office. 2, we are talking about party hopping. And here we are having a big house of JP, Jubilee Party.
So essentially,
and we have the others who might want to fall out and find another home before the next election.
You see, smart, I think the Joint Select Committee has done brilliant work. In especially, there are 2 bills. We have the Elections Act Amendment Bill, and then you have the Elections Offences Bill. And these are brilliant documents, because I've been reading. I know it was presented, but I've been reading them for the last 3 days. And one of the things that these guys propose is an issue of dealing with the party hopping. And I tend to blame the guys, the negotiating team for the CORD coalition on what happened, because these party hopping clause will tend to serve the interest of Jubilee. You know, the Jubilee party, as you are aware, there are some parties that are folded and they have formed Jubilee, and then they have agreed they are going to do just one nomination. And for the CORD coalition, CORD still has those segmented parties. And this law is very clear. Like, I think it's 21 or 30 days to your primary. You have to give the IBC the list of your candidates for the primaries. And then they have to be gazetted. Once they are gazetted, it means you can't do part hopping. So the guys who have lost
why doesn't that work for CORD? So CORD doesn't want
it doesn't work for CORD, because CORD is still a merge of several parties. Jubilee, their parties have been folded, and I tend to blame the guys who negotiated on behalf of CORD on that.
No, I don't agree with him. I think we are yet to see the mother of all battles when Jubilee starts doing their own in-house things here, elections and all that. We will see wars.
Well, CORD leader Raila Odinga is now urging President Uhuru Kenyatta to consider consulting him on the choice of the next poll agency chief. Raila says if Uhuru goes ahead and selects the chair, as has been provided for in law, it will give him an undue advantage, since he's a candidate in the 2017 elections. Is that so?
I think maybe that is the way to go, because we've seen these are, with the select committee, we saw these were 2 different opposing sides coming together. Can you imagine Gatundu South MP and Senator Mudhama coming together, sitting together and agreeing? So people can always agree. You can always differ to agree in opinion and policy. So for me, if the president and the opposition leader can talk and agree, it will save this country some tension and acrimony.
But I mean, clearly it was not important for the former Prime Minister, because he did not propose this in his team. So what you're going to pass does not include him being consulted, if you like, for the chair.
Remember, when they were going for the negotiation, it was not a fixed position. They were trying to find a way out to have a peaceful election, as they put it. So if we have seen the dialogue is the good way to go, and the country has a goodwill with the team, and the same happens in Parliament, then I don't see why the 2 cannot consult and find a way out.
I think the only problem that Raila Odinga, as the CORD leader, did was to give Orengo the headship of the CORD negotiations, and then give him a list of ECOLAS as part of the team. And these guys were able to lose a lot of ground to the Jubilee coalition. And I also love to tell Raila Odinga that he's not the only presidential candidate we'll have in 2017. Of course, we have Uhuru Kenyatta, there's Raila. Probably there might be Moses Wetangula, there might be Dida, there might be Kiapi, there might be others. So each and every person cannot be demanding, like have to be consulted. I'm okay with the president taking the lead because CORD went to the street, they demonstrated, and they gave the mandate to the Joint Select Committee. I'm okay with what they agreed, and let the president now.
I think it's only in good faith that he has not demanded. He just asked, let me be involved, because he's a major stakeholder in the politics of Kenya, whether we like it or not. So I think it's only fair that he's given a chance to be part of that team.
I don't think it will play so much, because remember, even the current commissioner, the chairman was a choice of the opposition leader. But he did a disservice to him, as per what he says. So
what will be different?
And that exactly is my point. That exactly is my point. Let him be given that chance to be on the table with the president. Let them talk. Get a team.
Give them a chance.
If it messes up, then he'll have nobody to blame.
Give them a chance. They gave us Hassan. This was Raila Odinga and Mwai Kibaki. They gave us Hassan. So next time, who does Raila and Uhuru want to give us? Let Uhuru do it. Let Raila go and campaign for his votes.
And finally, let's finish light on Rio Olympics. One Kemboi finished that. The French protested, and they won. So he was kicked off from the bronze. And on that note, he unretires and says, I was retiring because I was getting a bronze, but now I need to come back and teach the French a lesson.
I think that is a good spirit. You don't lose and leave the battle. You stay on and prove. So for me, I support him. Let him remain on the track and give us a gold. Maybe next year when he goes back, we will get a gold and not a bronze.
I think on a light note, because this one is on a light note, Akili ni nywele. So he needs to grow some hair first on his head, and then I think he'll be able to compete better. But I love Kemboi. I know he'll do it. Probably he just didn't want to.
I think I like his spirit, but I'm not sure that he can do it after 4 years.
No, 2017, I think there's the World Championship next year.
Yeah.
2017.
But he wants, if he wants the honor, he has to do it through the Olympics. You see? And that's what, after 4 years, I think he'll be unable
No, after 4 years, it just needs to win in the next competition,
it's
the next
spirit.
meet.
You don't lose.
Let me tell you, the next biggest person is that Kipruto, the young man who defeated
Conseslus.
And what has happened that in the past, I remember there's a time they fought with Kemboi, the track as they were about to finish. And the other time is that he fell, you know. So I think Kipruto versus Kemboi, the young man will still win.
All right, final word on Mada's corruption and the list. Rosaline.
For me, I call all my colleagues that we need to give this profession a dignified name. And because of that, let us not glorify corruption. If we see our colleagues are engaging in this, the best thing is to point it out and correct it. Instead of, because I've seen people bashing the others talking about corruption. If we don't talk about it, we'll never resolve it. We have to face it and address it.
All right.
This profession needs prayers, as I said, and a national dialogue. And it's a dialogue that we have to hold across every career that we have in Kenya. Yeah, so that we do away with these cartels.
Nyabenga, do you feel handing over the list to news sources?
What I've done is that I've informed 17 of the 27 people who are on that list, personally. And this list, bits of it have also been shared to the Media Council. What I would love to ask the journalists, especially those ones who are against the steps that I've taken, is that it's time we thought about this country, not about our own selfish interests.
Give me that list.
I'll pass it gladly.
Oh, my man has also fallen down. This is the list, but you know you're not on this list.
It's fine. Hand it over to news sources. We'll keep it for safekeeping.
I'll lose the confidence I had from the senators.
All right. With this, we asked you should Uhuru Kenyatta and consult Raila Odinga in choosing the next IEBC chief, and quite close. 43% said no, 42% yes, and 15% absolutely don't care. That's it for us. Thank you, Rosaline, Jokonia, and Nyabenga. We'll do this sort of again on Tuesday. My name is James Smart. Time for the KTN Prime. Coming up shortly.